I thought you created the precursor in a lot of ways to the pay-per-view. Then the Paul brothers have built on top of it. And now we're like really in like real land. And I think it's like really a fucking thing.
It is. And we actually tried to get Jake Paul to fight in Rough and Rowdy way back when. I agree it's a thing. And I think Jake Paul's next fight is going to be enormous because of what he did in his last one. Where the bubble bursts is if people start to be like, well, these guys can't fight. Like, Jake Paul did the best thing that you can do for any fight game. He created intrigue with a spectacular knockout of Durant and an ex.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm a big Nate fan. I like him as a human, and he's a Nick and all that good stuff. But he's a real athlete.
I thought he was going to win. I would have bet on Nate because of I was like, no, this guy's an NBA. He can dunk. He's like an NBA athlete.
What people are missing is that the Paul brothers are really, really spending a fuckload of time training.
Yes.
Like when people saw that we were on, they're like, you two should fight for charity. And I was like, man, if we took 9 months to train, we would be totally different animals than we are right now. And both of us, and again, we don't super duper know each other, but from everything I know of what you've created and like how you navigate, we would both be so scared shitless to lose and have that video in perpetuity on the internet. Like I would fucking quit my career to try to win that fight. I'd just be too scared for that video to loop in perpetuity.
Yeah. I know. I would never agree to fight anybody. My shoulders would pop out. It'd be a disaster. That's why I bought the league. But yeah, they're taking it seriously. And we had who's absolutely, I'm drawing blank, my favorite guy, Teddy Atlas on talking about it. And he says, the other guy's been in the ring. He says, you can train, you can do this. His phrase, when the ninjas come over the wall, it's a different vehicle. It's a different beast. Or Mike Tyson, everybody's a play until you get punched in the face. So it's just a different sport and technique and all that. But what he did is he created, can this kid fight? That's what he just created.
The other thing is these people have real audiences. Like the other thing that I think is not talked about enough is brand nostalgia. You look at Tyson Jones. Do you know how much money I would pay for Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson one-on-one right now, Dave?
Yes.
Dave, I would pay $50 pay-per-view to 21 one-on-one, give those guys 6 months to fucking shred it up, get their shit together. But that one-on-one, or how about Dion versus Bo Jackson in a race?
In a race.
Because I've always said this from a business standpoint, nostalgia is wildly fucking underpriced.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like to me, like I would be gaga on all day Saturday on social and have buddies over Bird Magic one-on-one. I go nuts.
I don't get I didn't care about the Tyson fight, and in a problem like,
you know why? Because you knew it was an exhibition. It's the same reason. You knew that Jake and Nate were fighting. Whereas there's very different rules. I think that has the ability to undermine the Mayweather Logan Paul fight because it's an exhibition. It's different than what Jake and Nate did.
So then you have to do, and you're right on that, because even if you looked at like the Tiger versus Phil, that sucked because they didn't care, and it's like they're joking around.
Which is why I think and you know this is look, both of our careers have benefited from the decentralization of media. The internet is the middleman. You get anybody that has audience, has intrigue. You look what Jake's doing now, like the way he's goading these 4 to 5 other people right now is pretty fucking intense.
Yeah, no, right. It's brilliant.
How much is it show? How much is it not? It's always a mix of two, but here's what it comes down to. For example, Dave, I am really fucking good at bubble hockey.
Yeah, right. Really I know it. Yeah, Russia versus USA. What's that? Yeah, it used to be. You're talking to Russia, USA with the boo button?
Yes. To me, I think right now, if we get a little spicy here with each other and get into a 7-game fucking series on bubble hockey, that a fuckload more people than people would ever think would fucking watch that shit.
I agree with it.
Talking about caring, if I lose that shit, I disappear. And by the way, here come all the comments like, Dave, you got to do this, get GaryVee off the fucking world. But like to me, I punch the fucking, to your point, if people care, if 2 people care about anything, darts, fighting, one-on-one, bubble fucking hockey.
If people care and there's stakes, you will tune in.
And there's stakes when people fucking watch.
Right. 100%.
When people watch, now you get into pride. Fuck money, fuck promotion. You get into fucking pride. Like Nate, I don't know how educated people are about, I know you are. Nate Robinson is not only a real basketball player, he's one of the great athletes. The guy that went top 60 picks in the NFL draft. Like, he's an incredible athlete.
That's why it was so stunning to me, yes. And now what's his legacy? It could be him lying on the ground. It's crazy.
This is what really upsets me because I love him so much. To me, his legacy, like that image is hard to fucking erase.
Yes.
The guy's won slam dunk contests. He's done incredible things. He's an incredible all-time guy and athlete. It hurts. And I think that's what goes into like I'm not kidding. I don't know how, I assume like I'm uncomfortably competitive. Like having you go like this and the whole Barstool Mafia shitting on me when you win game 6 in bubble hockey is something I can't live with, which is why I would go into that fucking scared and focused.
Right.
And
listen, I'm not going to sit here. I don't know how much bubble hockey you play, and that's the only reason I'm restraining. By the
way, I don't play any. I haven't played bubble hockey in 3 years, but it's less about. I'm actually talking theory than setting up a bubble hockey.
I thought we were going down to bubble hockey. It's like I was texting down here. Get me a bubble hockey.
Arm wrestling, right? You think about all these fucking muscle heads on fucking like the gram, all looking jacked as shit. You get 2 people with 5 million audience, that fucking arm wrestling thing is going to be fucking crazy.
Anything. I mean, there's obviously huge pressure, and what he's doing is brilliant. I said right when, because it was an interesting reaction, Jake Paul. We had him on, and it wasn't really fair because I said I think you're going to lose, and then when he won, everybody's like, he just beat it like an athlete, and people hate him. And he called out Conor McGregor, and everyone's like, "You're an asshole. Why would you call out Conor McGregor?" It's like, because he's brilliant. And by the way, I think he's going to fight McGregor eventually because McGregor is going to take a huge fat paycheck for not even having to risk anything.
But that's where it gets interesting. Like, to me, risk anything, right? So, for example, Logan Paul is dramatically bigger than Floyd.
Oh, he is. I thought Mayweather. Excuse me. Yeah, I thought Mayweather versus Conor would be a bigger mismatch than Logan versus McGregor because of the size difference. I thought Mayweather, I was at that fight, just toyed. He's like, whenever I feel like I can just put this guy away, I can do it. I think you're right. He's way bigger.
Way bigger. And by the way, let's talk about what they're doing. They're doing fighting.
Right.
One punch.
Boxing boxing versus the other. So I think that fight. Now, I've guessed Dylan Dennis who's gonna be fighting next, which is a far different fight than what he just did. But if he beats Dylan Dennis, he's gonna get one of the bigger paydays in fighting. He will.
I actually think that this entire genre can be incredible for boxing because if you think about it, let's talk about Joshua Fury. Let's just talk about that fight.
Yeah.
If the 3 of the 4 undercards are, Bob Memory versus you, a fucking, I
don't even like my name being said in the same sentence with that guy. Now that guy, my shoulders didn't pop out, but go ahead.
But I'm saying people that are popping, right? People that are popping it. You look at what Dwayne Wade's culturally relevant.
Yeah.
If Dwayne Wade decides to, box a former basketball, Tracy McGrady, the undercards of actual big boxing events.
Yeah, I mean, you
change the pay-per-view numbers dramatically.
Big time. It's an interesting thing on a lot of levels because I could see people saying it's horrific for boxing on the other side because the true purists for the game, these guys are in gyms making nothing, sweating away, and you see a guy that is basically now getting the biggest paydays in the game and he's not a real boxer, they say. I could see how that would be extremely frustrating for somebody in it.
Dave, they also said hip hop wasn't real music when you and I were kids.
Yeah, that's true. No.
I mean, cool. They told me that internet businesses weren't real businesses. Literally to my fucking face when I was 19, internet businesses aren't real businesses. I don't give a shit what fucking people said is real or isn't. The consumer decides.
Correct. But there is an element of this is supposed to be a sport where it's sport versus entertainment, sport versus entertainment
There's
business.
people that say golf isn't a real sport. You know this. It's a huge debate.
Right, but again, it's like almost like an Anna Kournikova when tennis. Like she never wins, but she's getting the most money because she's gorgeous. But it's like people will be mad. It's like, well, she's not winning these events.
She's getting the most money off the court. Right?
Correct.
She's also a top 25 player during that era.
Yes, but it is that dynamic. Like, if I was sweating my ass off in the gym with no followers, and I know I can go beat him easily, and I see him getting all the headlines on I'd be furious.
He spent a decade building an audience.
Oh yes, but not through boxing.
People think that you're fucking. This isn't like I laugh at people when they talk about this. I'm like, what
right. No, I agree.
I'm like, they have every 15 to 25-year-old giving a fuck. I'm sorry that you feel you made a nice print magazine around sport. Like, fuck you. Like the consumer decides. Now, on the flip side, I'll watch the Canelo fight and love the defense. And like I like both are super fascinating to me. Like I'm actually a humongous boxing fan and actually love defensive fighters. Everybody hates them because I'm fascinated. I mean, Pernell Whitaker was my favorite fighter growing up.
Oh, sweet pea.
I mean, to me, I just was fascinated by his ability to have that kind of defense. And then obviously Mayweather became the 3.0 version of that. But that doesn't take away the fact that my juices are going to be going the next time there's a celebrity influencer fight that I just think is funny and interesting. Or I'm
100%. 100%. And to be honest, they had the version of it. They had the celebrity boxing a while back. It just they didn't have the right people because they didn't have these huge audiences.
Correct. Correct. Fox had to get you to give a fuck about Screech.
Correct.
The Paul brothers, the McGregors, or these people are in their prime of attention. These people in their prime. Who's the guy with the? If Dan Bilzerian, who's been, I feels a little quieter than 3 years ago, but if he decides to, if I hear tomorrow Bilzerian's fighting Steve Aoki, I'm fucking watching.
Right. Yeah. And the Paul brothers are masters of the internet. I mean, you really can't deny that. So they have the huge followings and they get it. He gets it. When we talk to him, it's like, who's your next fight going to be? It's whoever I can make the most money, who I think have the best chance to win. He's not looking for King Kong. He's looking for the most interesting fight that will allow him to get the next fight.
And for me, people spend $30, $40 to escape. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, right? So for me, that fight that they promote and create an intrigue on is no different than watching that incredible Jamie Foxx movie on Disney Plus that just came out, Soul, or watching Wonder Woman on HBO Max. It's no different than watching sports. I love people that are like, this is fucking stupid. Why do people spend money on this? I'm like, you spent money on the NBA League Pass. Like there's a lot of people who don't give a fuck about the NBA. Like, why is Luka throwing a ball in a basket so much greater? Like people are allowed to have their escapism.
The market determines what the market is. I mean, they wouldn't be doing it if they weren't selling all the pay-per-views.